Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading Climbing the Tower. It had taken so long to get here. She had been forced to trek deserts, wade swamps and travel seas. But finally, she had arrived. As Joan stood at the base of this almost mythical building, she raised her head and tilted it upward. The tower stretched out, climbing higher and higher into the sky, until she could no longer see it. Who even knew how far away the top was? The only way to find out was to climb it. Getting in was not to be so easy, however. Though the doorway was large and easily identifiable, a layer of thick and supple vines covered it, stretching from the ground to the distance beyond where Joan could see. They blocked the entrance almost completely, making it nearly impossible to enter. Still, Joan was not perturbed. Drawing her sword, she began to slash wildly, cutting the vines away in a rampage of steel and fury. Moments later, she could clearly see the ornate pattern carved into the woodwork of the door hidden behind. She knew that she would at last be able to tackle this legendary tower. The scene behind the door was one of pure devastation. Joan had not expected anything else, of course, and yet the extent of it still surprised her. Hordes of rats scurried before her as she took her first step into the building. Vines grew inside the tower as well, trailing lazily across the rocks and chunks of broken floor. Weeds grew heavily also, almost creating a carpet inside. Joan took it all in. She had not expected so many plants to be thriving in a place as artificial and constructed as this, and yet life had inevitably found a way. Turning her attention to the crumbling staircase, she wondered how safe it would be to begin her ascent. Placing her foot cautiously on the worn and crumbling bottom step, she slowly began to climb. The journey up was hard going, but it was certainly a fascinating one. As Joan climbed higher and higher, she noticed increasing signs of human life in amongst the rubble and weeds. At first it was small things, a pile of wood that might once have been a chair, a frame hung on the wall with a shredded and faded canvas inside. But eventually, she began to see whole rooms with furniture which had been left abandoned. The higher she went, it seemed, the more recent the habitation. The rooms turned slowly from empty shells to clearly long abandoned living spaces, and finally to fully usable habitats covered in thick layers of dust. As she continued to climb ever higher, Joan noticed that even the completed rooms were becoming cleaner and more lavish. This, she supposed, must mean that she was nearing the top. Eventually, as she continued to climb floor after seemingly endless floor, Joan arrived at a large and imposing door. This must be it, she thought, the very top. She tried the handle, but could not seem to turn it at all, let alone open the door. She wondered momentarily whether she should attempt to barge it and force her way in, but Joan knew she had to act carefully now, if who she expected was waiting in the room behind. Slowly, and feeling a little self-conscious suddenly, she raised a fist and tapped gently on the door. Instantly, and without warning, the doors burst open. Joan took a step back, unsure of what was to come. As she looked into the room behind, She saw a woman standing in one of the windows at the very top of the tower. She was nowhere near the door. Magical powers, just as Joan had thought. "Who are you?" the woman called out. "Princess, my name is Joan d'Art. I have come from the noble realm of Malepoly. I am here only to find you, for your legend is most famous in these lands." The princess looked on disinterestedly. She paused for a moment, letting Joan compose herself, before responding, "Oh God, not another one here to rescue me, are you?" "I am not, princess. Why do you ask?" "They come here, from time to time, the same as you, climbing the tower, thinking they can save me and win my hand. I've had to move higher and higher in here just to put them off. If that's why you're here, then please don't bother. I don't need rescuing." "And why might that be?" Joan inquired. Though she knew the answer already, she wanted to hear it confirmed. "Because there is nothing to rescue me from. There is no evil dragon, there is no wicked witch. I willingly sealed myself away here because I had grown tired of the outside world and of the burdens it placed on me. I have all the capabilities I need to survive by myself, so if you were hoping to save me and take me home, then I suggest you turn back now." Joan prepared herself. She could barely contain her smile. It was all just as she had thought. "Princess, I have no desire to take you away from here. I understand the hardships you have suffered and the reasons you have for withdrawing from the world." For the first time, the princess looked confused and unsure. "Then why are you here?" "I am here for you, to help and support you, not to rescue you from anything. I understand, princess. When the world refused to know you, it became easier to lock yourself away and refuse to allow it the chance. But I am here to know you now. I'm here to give you companionship, to seal myself away with you, and to spend the rest of our days in joy. What say you?" The princess gave no answer. Instead, Joan heard the doors creak slowly shut behind her. It was all just as she had dreamed. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook, or check out the website at under1000pod.com. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, NICTATE, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.